Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. So, today we are going to continue creating a CRM for a company using the DataButton software. This is a software that allows us to create CRMs, SaaS, without writing a single line of code. So if this is the first time you are watching the video, please, I am leaving the link here for you to start the training from the beginning to understand the topic. Thank you very much and enjoy the training. So, as always, he tells me that he just did it, and so now he tells me that he was able to launch the table, but now he tells me to check. This information is needed for him to move on to the next step, which is working on the filters, adding headers, implementing buttons. So there are two ways to proceed. Either I tell him to continue or simply. We will click on deploy, which is what I recommend, and go step by step with him. That is very important. In fact, he knows what I like about this tool compared to other tools. If you give a whole part of K-charge, he will keep developing everything, and then you find errors here and there. But if we go slowly, and that is really an advantage, an asset then. So I will go step by step. Each time, I tell him to finish 1, finish 2, finish 3, and I am sure that the application will work in a much more correct way. So now we will wait for him a little bit. As soon as he finishes the deployment, we will see the result a little and give him the green light if everything is fine. And there you go. So now we will open it. We will click on contact. That's very good. So now it just displayed the table. As you were saying, as I recall, I can finish everything and then I give a large print to our design. He says do the same thing on that side. And so as a result, he will intervene. So there I tell him the same thing. So very good. Continue. And I launch it, so now he will start on 1, so it's the same thing. So I do it 1, 2, 3, so it's always the same. As soon as he finishes, I test and actually look at the result. I'm sure I tell him to simply finish, so now he just finished. We will simply test, so the progress is very, very good. Contact. Yes. So now he has, and I actually use the search, the status. That's very, very, very important. So the same thing. I tell him to continue. Continue. And there you go, to move on to the second step. If I go up a little, the next step, he says to add the possibility to sort in the table. That's interesting. So the act of sorting. So now we're going to let him work quietly, actually. And especially, there you go. He explains to me how he proceeds, how he works. Then once he finishes, he asks to test to see the result afterwards. And that's very interesting. So listen to me. I'm actually going to let him finish all the way through. And afterwards, we will try to see the result he will propose to me each time he finishes. Anyway, here, as long as there are no bugs, we will say to continue until he completes it. The parts where I have a dashboard, where I will have the contacts so that I can simply add a contact, modify, delete. And then you can simply add the custom fields and then add this IAE there, which will somewhat perform the role of our CRM. So if I look, in fact, I see that he has done a lot of updates, so there he stayed a bit longer. And so, there you go. He focused a lot on being able to add, modify, delete. And he asks me there if I let him. In fact, there you go. Move on to the next component, so they can display more details of the selected contact, and which will actually complete the contact management functionality. So, first, I can simply click on deploy, and actually test at that level to give the green light. In fact, there you go. To move on, actually develop the next step. So there, the deployment is in progress. We are going to test. Actually, the improvement in my stock exchange needs to be enhanced in a way much more advanced. And if it's okay, there you go. We can actually ask him to continue. So the fact that it stops on its own, gives me a recap and tells me here is the next step is really very interesting. So here we go. We are going to test. So here we are talking about contact. And here I am going to add, so there, yes. So he added the contact. So the name of Germany just tested like that. To see a little bit actually the information. So we are going to try to add data like this. In fact, to test, I would put it like this number. The status, so it's a new contact. That's good. So he already thought about what statuses we can add, and that too. It's something we can improve later or even make dynamic. Source, so imagine that this one comes from the website. Okay? That's the source. we are going to save. So we need to make sure that when I click save, it should save. So I noticed there when I clicked, look, and I see that it does nothing. So what I'm going to do, as usual, is print a CRM here. And I think actually it might come from the roles, but we will still test and ask it actually. So there, I print when I come back here. I actually add this print. When here, so there, we click here. There, it's the print when, and I will tell it, so the button, the button. Save the new contact. It does not a work. Is it coming from? Is it coming from the rules of Firebase? We ask, we make a request. So there he is working on it. We will actually wait for the result, and then if he gives me a recommendation, then I will do it. If he will correct it and fix the system. So this is very important. So watch it. There he is already giving an explanation. You should know that this kind of response behavior, as we said, it doesn't actually consume tokens, and according to him, this could be an error in the console. What does that mean? It's a little bit actually at the collection level. Between him or the base sounded, and so as a result it's generally him who detects the console and the information that is actually on the console. Just to tell you what I'm going to preview, generally here I can see the consoles here that will scroll through, in fact, the different files, different communications. But it's actually up to him to detect and understand his console. And there, either the company's identifier has not been correctly declared, or there are the rules. So here he tells me, as you suspect, the Firestore rules could be the cause. They must allow users to write in the contact subcollection of a company document. Normally we've done that. So actually, this task should already be done normally. We've already done it. So that one, but still, I can test it. I can actually check if it was done correctly or not. Okay, this end there. So I'm going to go a little in there too to have it. It tells me an error. So to help me diagnose, can you check your browser's console? Well, here, we're not going to confirm that a company is active. That's done. I took a look, so I'm going to do better. I'm simply going to go here and there. So I'm going to copy it. Actually, the rules, that's important. So here, I copy this. I come back here. I say here are the roles of good countries. And so as a result, he will check that. He will give me actually the result. We'll see. Actually, it's for him. He will see if he wants to buy something here or not, or if it's 100% correct. Otherwise, I will tell him, here, check the code yourself and come back with the information. So now we are going to try to read here. He says that it seems correct, the structure and the correct ones. It matches what he did. Conclusion on the rules. So here he found that everything is fine regarding the rule. Next, check the company ID. So the company ID, we agree that I am indeed connected with the company. So if I come back here, back, we will simply click there. So I am indeed connected. So it's up to him to ensure that everything is fine. Then check the identification, error console. So I will tell him here. I will simply say, I want you to check everything for the whole. I want you to check all the code. Or the code of the function. Add a new contact. And that the button. Saved. That's it saved. Contact works. And it's also very interesting to actually add a large print on the page in question there. And I know he knows very well which page I'm talking about. But it will still be very good to throw it here. And I can make an annotation here. I want to tell him here actually what's wrong. It's there. In fact, it's this nice weather there that doesn't work for me, and I want him to fix it. So as a result, there, I send it. And so now I'm going to actually let him handle it, work on it so he can solve this problem and give me the ability to actually add my client. So there actually he told me, okay, he checked the code. He told me everything is fine. But there he gave me a method actually, so that he manages to understand, in fact, if the problem with the company ID has been sent or not. Remember that at the beginning, actually, he asked me if the company ID, this code, there, so if in fact it has been passed correctly or not. So, to be sure, he gave me a method there. We will follow it together. So, this is the method actually. I will explain to you how it works. We will simply open this here. Go to Contact, and you will see that here I will right-click. There is a small button here called Inspect. I am on Google Chrome, so there are similar options on other browsers. I am used to working on Google Chrome. And here I will switch to Console. You will see on the console every time I click on something. It will give me information. By the way, I immediately detect that it tells me company ID not available. So there's already a small problem here. If I click on Add a Contact anyway, we'll try it here. It's just for testing. So there you go. We're just going to test it like this. And I click on Add, and there you go. It's clear now. In fact, what I'm going to do is, well, I can click here to see a little bit of the errors. But what interests me is that it will copy, there you go, and I'm going to tell it. So we're going to copy it, we're going to tell it here. Here is the result in the POI console. And here I'm going to paste this information there. So there's an error, so I see it, and as a result, it will try to correct it, in fact, so that the company will be. In any case, it will explain to me either the explanation, or it will actually give me a solution to follow. So here, we're going to try to understand a little bit what it will propose. So we're going to go back a bit to read. Already there, it detects, it explains, afterwards it gives solutions, which is very, very good. So still there, it hasn't consumed any tokens yet, but it's very interesting for me. Even if you're not a developer, you just need to follow the steps. So there, he explained that there are, in any case, some information at the database level that hasn't been recorded correctly. The solution for him, he sees an intervention on these two files, right? And there he explains how he is going to make the correction. So there, I tell him, okay, let's go, quite simply, okay, go ahead. So there I start, and then he is going to try to work. So we are going to give him a little bit of time. In fact, let him do all the work so that afterwards, quite simply, I will deploy and test. In fact, if the result is correct, if I manage to add the contact correctly or not. So there, it seems he has addressed the problem, so I deployed. We are going to test, so he asked me to test in order to move on to the next steps. So there, we have deployed. So I will go to the contact, I will go inspect the console. We will see already there. It's ahead, so there I see that he hasn't actually claimed the problem of two companies, Heidi, and here I am actually going to throw in a contact. It's just actually, there you go, to test. The goal is to see a little bit if the system works or not. And now we are going to record, so already here I see that it made a small mistake. Instead of Fireball, it lowers the notifications. So there it doesn't work, so as a result it will be very, very good. Actually, to copy that and come here, I can directly give it the error message, so there it will understand what it's about, that it's an error message. And so As a result, it will try to work on that to fix the error message. So we will leave it for a moment to process that, and I will redeploy and see the result a little bit. And that's a bit of the cycle. With AI, you had to gently test, provide the result, and actually find the fully operational functionality. So there, in fact, it said it understood the error. And it made a plan to completely fix it. It corrected it and told me at the end that it made the correction and asked me to test by adding a new contact. So now I've deployed it and I'm going to try to do the test with you in real time. I don't know the answer whether it will work or not, so I'd actually like to launch it here as well. So here's the console to be sure actually that if there's an error, we'll just copy it. Okay. Here we go. We're going to click on save. So far so good. That's great. So there on the status side, it has been added. There is no source and everything. So I don't know if we can modify it. So it will be all patient. If we manage to modify it, it will save us actually from asking it. Here is some information. And now I'm going to enter a website. I'm going to save the update. Indeed, everything is going well and very, very well. So there, as a result, it went very well. So what I'm going to do now is actually go back here. Remember when it asked me actually to test so it could move on to the next steps. So there, it's roughly among the bugs we encountered together. So I can identify here. Origin. There you go. So just before, I need to come back here to tell it, okay, it works well, and I want you to move on to the next step so it can actually continue. Where it arrived to when it told me it was done, actually, the contact part. So there you go. That's it, actually. The next step is to create a component. There you go. That's what interests me. So here I tell it to move to the next step. So here, from Claire, here I will say everything is fine. I go back to the line and move to the next step. And there you go. And so I launch. So up to this point. Actually, so going back and of course to be able to follow. Actually, there you go. It's in working mode. So as usual, we'll let them finish so I can test at the end. And actually be able to close this step where we developed this system to especially move forward. Don't forget we're looking to implement AI to really improve the system. So now we're going to try to deploy for him actually if we look at what he did. So he added a small feature. He tells me that when you click on the 3 dots to the right of a contact, we should see all the other information. So there, it's simply a small improvement actually in the contact section. So if I look here, it's the old one, but here, and I think he worked on view. So there, if I click on view, there's nothing, which is normal because I haven't done the deployment. So as soon as the deployment is actually completed, we should click and see that the view function should work correctly. Let's go. So here, I click here to see a little bit of the result. To be as usual. So now we will go to contact, and here I will click on view, and there we go. So here it just added this functionality correctly. So I think regarding this step we can mark it as done, and so I will actually add this option here. This is a very interesting option on a CRM, especially if I want, for example, because you know every company, in fact it wants to assign information related to the client. If I come back here in my system here at the client level, for me it's very important to add, for example, a section where I can provide summaries. So remember, when I go back to my specifications, here in my specifications, these are the details I want to be done for that, for the contact. There are 2 ways to do it. Either I tell them, listen, I want each contact. I want to display this information to them. Or I can make the system dynamic to be able to add this data. So that's a technical choice. If I am going to sell the application, it will be very interesting to leave it dynamic. If I want to use it for myself, I can simply require that the form, or to create a new contact, I want it to be like this. So maybe actually we see here a little bit to show you how I can modify the step in question. So here, if I come back here, if I click on this step, look, so here the step tells me to add, there you go, so that the name, the email and everything, I want it to be done in a dynamic way. That's one way. Or I can erase everything like this. I can tell it here. I can paste that. And here I will simply make a copy. And here I will do update, quite simply. Or update, in any case, you write what you want here, it will understand. In fact, the default standard form for contact, or for the contact page, as you wish. And now I will launch. So this is a little bit, in fact, to show you that the step, in fact, I can skip it, I can leave it, I can modify it, as I can also, be careful. There is always a small button here where I can add a new step between the steps. That too can be very interesting. So if I go back there, so here, I think there you go, so it will need, of course, to make updates on the database. So I think it will take a little time to process everything for me, so that it also gives me the possibility to test. When we try to open this page a second time, it should have many more fields, more detailed, more interesting information, so that if I come back, remember that here, if I come back here and go to the dashboard, so that's already there. When I added a contact, that's very good. It explains that the contact was successfully added. And for me to prepare, especially for the last phase, which is working with the eyes, it's very important for me that the form is really well made. So I look in there. He actually asked me 3 questions, so I have to answer the 3 questions. 1, he asks me if regarding type and status, do you want me to keep both or should I make just one? Because there he tells me, listen, the type field is a prospect. It's a lead. Should it replace the status field new? Contact, qualify, all good there. I think we can keep just one there. I will tell him I want to keep just one. So then, just be one field. And there, regarding the tags, he asks me, do you prefer a simple text area? For the tags, if it's the same to start with, or a more specific component, then more specific means that I can add, let's say, to a follow-up list with tags pre-configured. So here, I will simply tell it a simple text area. And I will tell it here, and I want that. It's interesting that the tags are with a design, with a design. For example, in different colors. There you go. And 3 for the time zone. I will tell it I want a list. Here is a list of the Netherlands. There you go. Then it will give me all the honors and I just have to select. So there, I launch here. Attention on synth. So there. As a result, it will always continue to actually do the update. Let's take a look together at the result. And so here we go. So we will try to see a little bit of the update it made. So I click on contact. So this is my contact. If I had clicked on edit, I should see a lot more information. Indeed. So there, look at the post. So we will put, when there, the type, let's say prospect at Galas, we'll just put tag like that. And if there you go, that's the tag separated by so, we'll put CEO EI. Okay, video schedules. So I'll take it like that. Hawaii, last communication date. That's good. It shows me the date like that. That's very interesting. Method of communication. Let's do it by phone. That's also, I like to summarize, client interested in doing the SEO of their website. And that's actually what interests us the most. And the communication at so there, the last person actually with whom he worked, let's say like for example, and there I record, so okay there, at the level of recording a roller body. If I clicked on save, I see that it didn't display anything, so if I use the page, I think that it hasn't been updated. We'll check. Indeed, so the information was not taken into account. But what is very interesting, there it displayed all that for me, so I can propose 2 modifications first. 1. Correct the error in fact of the recording. So here I can simply do it like this. A small screenshot. Take this screenshot. There, always. The same method to say that the Save Changes button does not work. And the second thing, actually here, I would like it to display much more information. It's more interesting to display more information here. So, as a result, I will first report the problem. We will start step by step. So here, I will simply tell him, there you go. So I open this one. I can annotate if I want. And select it like this. So this, which does not work. And I will tell him the button. Save changes. Does not work. On the page. Well, it does not work, and as a result, he will understand. I will tell him to fix this error. And I can also add, then display more information and fields in the contact table. Maybe I actually prefer to finish this first. And maybe we would see the information afterwards. Actually, we'll do that later. So I start step by step. So for now, I'll let it finish. Then we'll ask it to make improvements. But you understand the principle. Actually, I test, I launch, I verify, and I add. Afterwards, if there's a small issue, well, I tell it to correct it. So we'll leave it for a moment to finish all that. By the way, it just sent me a message. Can you try selecting a type and saving again? So here, you see, he's only talking about the type. So if the type actually is what's bothering him, well, okay, we're going to deploy and test the type, but normally it should handle all the work. So now what I'm going to do actually, so he's finished. So we're going to test, but actually I did the test. Then I actually found that, no, rather here at the level of modification. Because actually I tried to modify all that. When I click on modify the information, it's true that it asks me to fill in those details, even if I enter the mandatory information. When I click on the always button, same problem. So as a result, I have to come back here and tell it always. Same problem. Save button. Modifications such as does not work. So there, we will also add the printer, always the same printer, so that it can understand which page we are on. Talking about, and there we go, and we will launch. In fact, we will launch it properly in the print. When I just check the print, when I think the print screen, yes, there you go. That's why, in fact, when I sent a print here, when without those pieces of information are not filled in, that's why it did. It's that remark there. Yes, that's why, in fact, it bothers me. So now I will tell him I have filled in, and I have filled in all the information. But the nice weather does not work. There you go. So it's important to understand why it reacts like that, because the print bytes we sent it, if that one, where I actually didn't leave the information filled in. So as a result, there normally it should. In fact, there you go, started. when you see here to make updates, so we will. Let them finish to be sure, in fact, that all the information